Hi everybody, today I'm going to give you a review lesson on latitude and longitude, and we're going to talk about coordinates to help you with this week's challenge geography activity, where you use coordinates to find historical places around the United States. So let's get started. First is latitude. The most important latitude line is the equator at 0 degrees. It is the longest latitude line. And then, because latitude measures north and south from the equator, there are an infinite amount of latitude lines going north and south. They never run into each other. They are all parallel. So they measure north, south. They are all parallel. And they change in their size. So down here at the South Pole, you could run circles around the South Pole and you'd be on a latitude line. Just running around and around in circles. Now, how do I remember the term latitude? I think of them as rungs on a ladder. Rungs on a ladder are also parallel, and they go up and down, just like the longitude lines. And you can imagine some giant going up the ladder or down the ladder to the North Pole or the South Pole. Latitude lines, I'm going to draw the equator. Whew, that was lucky. And they cross the equator. And there are many of them as well. But they are not parallel. They all intersect at each pole. And they are the opposite. They measure west and east from a special line that goes through England called the prime meridian. And that is 0 degrees. Neither west or northeast, it's just 0. And then on the opposite side of the earth, at 180 degrees, because a circle is 360, you get it, I think, that is the international date line. And when you cross that line, say if you're taking a plane to China, you zoom into tomorrow. Now that line, why I didn't choose to draw that line, is it is not a smooth meridian. It pops around a little bit around some island nations to make sure the whole nation is in the same day. That would make some pretty weird phone calls calling your friends in tomorrow. Longitude. How do we remember the term longitude? I always think that they're all the same length, or in my cheesy dad joke, I call it longness. They're all the same longness because they run into each other, but unlike latitudes that get smaller and smaller, these are all the same length. Okay, so how does that relate to coordinates? Walnut Creek is at 37.9101 degrees north and 122 degrees and 0652 degrees west. So what does that mean on the globe? Well, here's my best facsimile of the United States of America. There is roughly where Walnut Creek is. Here's the prime meridian, right? That's going through England. And so we are 122 and something degrees west of England. Now, that is over 90 degrees, right? 90 degrees would be a fourth of the way around the globe. And then the prime meridian is 180 degrees. So if you do the math, we are closer to the prime meridian than we are to England. That makes sense, doesn't it? And then we are 37 degrees north. So 90 degrees north is the North Pole. 45 degrees is half of 90. So that would be halfway. 45 degrees would be halfway to the North Pole. We're way down here at 37, almost 38. Let's make it 38 degrees. we are 38 degrees north of the equator. Does that make sense? So that's why it's still pretty warm here, and we don't have, yeah, I'm just going to say that. We have longer seasons than, no, just shut up, Hurd. All right, so that's our lesson for today. I hope it helps you make sense why we have coordinates and why we have latitude and longitude lines. You can imagine how useful this is for satellites, for airplanes, for military locations, and your handy Google Maps, and even your Uber driver, in a sense, I think they use this system to give everybody directions. But you know, Mr. Hurd just makes things up sometimes. You be good now.